family? My name's Trey, and today I've got a talk with you called Catastrophizing Dystopia. Hive mind versus collective clarity. Them say them love me, but it was yesterday. But now them come to switch it up all again. But no, not gonna trick me today. It's not so easy if you train me in a J. 'Cause blessings follow everywhere that me dick. Me good with everybody. I don't give a flunking rat's say, that's what the devil gonna say. Me never listen to them anyway. Till it comes to the point when they try to attack me again. Me tell you everyone is my friend. But the devil only teaches me what not to do. How to get clear and walk with the sacred Christ in the truth. 'Cause truth is where you know I will lay. Peace and love is all I send to everybody. Catastrophizing. Dystopia. Hive mind versus collective clarity. In this phase of the old world hoarders takeover scams, we can easily sense a massive dialing up of an ancient program. Turning up the volume on an ancient program. Pardon me. We can easily see a massive dialing up of our ancient Anunnaki and negative alien-made program, which can be considered ancient memories or multiple lifetime PTSD. What Lisa Renee calls Armageddon software. What is Armageddon software? This is the NPR, leftist, socialist, and Team Trumbull's, the heavily infiltrated New Cage community might program. They might program you to look over here and not over here. And employ la-di-da spiritual bypassing out the wazooski. However, perhaps the vast majority of us humans have deeply installed end of the mind control world programs. End of the world mind control programs. It is many revolutionary movements have been based upon catastrophizing. Okay? Nearly all of them. They pull you up into revelry, get you upset, then they begin to organize to try to fight. It is important to see how deep and ancient these concepts are embedded into our subconscious mind, how anciently they've been embedded into our subconscious mind, and reject this war-based attitude, even when we are in the midst of battle. We must take a similar to that attitude of David Stendhal Rolfe rather than Howard Hughes. And I got to learn to not be so hypocritical and practice what I preach there, but because David Stendhal Rolfe developed a relationship with the Holy Ghost in the middle of World War II while Poland was being blown up. He became a Catholic priest. This was made by Clay Creations. I gotta big him up. And so once again, one of the very few from the chosen ones that don't seem to have a lick of false hierarchy, actually pure equal respect in their heart. So he's on the side of truth, and financial freedom also. So even when we are in the midst of battle, we have to learn that it's true that all actions, all situations can be used to bring awakening. We just had the fake ass rigged two-headed beast clone war, so-called U.S. election yesterday. Whether it was between two humans or two replicas, I don't know. Which, of course, brings up the pre-programmed, both sides being obviously heavily programmed to bring the international psychological war and the takeover plans that began 4 years ago into three-dimensional physical attacks. So, from both sides. So, since the hanging Chad of Florida incident in the year 2000, to the thousands of deceased who voted in Los Angeles, sometime in the first decade of the 2000s here. I can't remember the exact years, but I look it up if you want to research more. The county of Los Angeles was busted. A certain party was busted for counting the votes of hundreds of deceased people there, and also in other counties all across, probably several at least, all across the USA. To all of the official voter counters who testified to state grand juries in the year in the last one. Why did I not count a single vote for Mr. T in 2020? We have seen how fair the clone wars have been. I mean, the idea that the U.S. citizens of U.S. would have a choice between these two who are obviously in the big club blatantly, and the fact that both candidates would repeatedly, blatantly, brazenly interrupt mine, and I guess anyone who didn't buy a subscription to premium YouTube ad-free would interrupt your video learning or watching or listening or enjoyment to beg you for money. A billionaire and someone surrounded by them. Okay, what does that tell you? And so, just remember, folks, whoever got in the so-called White House, whatever got in the so-called White House as a result, it's all part of, ever since the real assassination that actually occurred of a president. Beside maybe the guy that was in there the year that I was born, interestingly enough, Jimmy Carter. He didn't run any wars, in my opinion, because he was on the front lines as a submarine captain in the Korean War, as I believe, as I recall. He held hostages, the Iran hostage, but he didn't run wars because he knows. And that's why, in my opinion, they wouldn't let Tulsi Gabbard be the president, because she would also refuse to run wars. As a veteran, she knows how evil and disgusting and inverted war is. As a veteran, she would refuse to run the wars. So both these so-called contestants have been in the White House recently, and both have towed the lines of the official script of what they were told to say. Only difference is Mr. T would say the truth out of this side of the mouth, and out of this side of the mouth say what the big boys told him to say. Out of this side, give a half or somewhat 60% believable, make people believe that he was going to do what's right, and then warp speed. Okay, warp speed and globalism, plus a rerun of the last 80 years. A Clone Wars election. Why would Americans, if America was not was still a country and not if U.S. was not a corporation, which it is, why wouldn't we get a choice of other people beside these two? A rerun. Would you rather have USA controlled? Would you rather have a USA controlled demolition? USA controlled demolition won't work. Would you rather have a huge wall around USA like it was China, or have open borders with many questionable aliens of all sorts entering? Those are your options if you believe the official election. Your options are the candidate who's going to allow a preference of families, reproducing families from other countries, come in and work jobs rather than help. They're going to make me fight in the Section 8 contest to try to get housing here, So if I can't find a friend that I can, move in with, or some land, or decide to take the plunge and buy some land as a Freemason's grandson who wants to be, legitimately sovereign in a bought and sold planet, even though I don't believe in property ownership. Really, I believe I be truth what the Native Americans said: we belong to the earth. This thing about this campsite is, having been here for such a long duration, it is certainly a part of my heart, and I think maybe the owls and some of the beings here, consider me a part of it after that long. So even though I'm part, alien hybrid myself, so which candidate would address the elephant in the sky? Will Mr. T, if he's back in there, will he address the elephant in the sky, geoengineering? We must know by now, USA, the obedient folks who call themselves a Democrat, a Republican, will be attempted to be pushed into civil war. We must not fight physically. We must not fight each other. We must remember that this war, the war to end all wars, this civil war, this international war of 1% criminal robber baron globalists and their evil ET overlords versus the free sovereign humanity, will not be won through blood and blood sacrifice, getting on your knees, or fighting people because of their political party, which is, like I say, a controlled two-headed beast anyway. No, it will be won through discernment, through peace, through harmlessness, through doing the shadow work, through remembering who we truly are, and respect. Okay? And pure respect for the awareness. The war ends within, okay? Where it began, in our head. So which candidate would say no to our slavers? Which support human freedom and sovereignty? Which would support human freedom and sovereignty? We must not fight ourselves. It is a big psyop. If you shoot or harm or cripple or maim or make someone else retarded, you're doing that to a part of yourself, because there's only one self in the beginning and the end, the self, the self of Christos Sophia. Okay? Which candidate would shut down the planetary takeover and negative aliens hijacking of all life? Dr. Shiva might have been the only one, Dr. Shiva. Why have I not been participating online lately? Imagine filling out about 10 notebooks with ideas and recording over 500 videos just to get words in edgewise to less than 200 people. Okay? Yes, it is good to be able to help even one person. As they say, I mean, this cliche is true. However, the amount of effort I put into making videos to have the target on, to have them flagged for limitation, it is to have no to have an AI system, an alphabet that doesn't allow a conversation. Since the Yahweh video series, it is discouraging because the conversation is one of the reasons why I began to share videos. Not because I'm a narcissist or because I want to make a living off this, as some narcissistic people think, or get famous, but because I like to clown around for more people than just a few. So imagine filling out about 10 notebooks with ideas and recording over 500 videos just to get words in edgewise to less than 200 people. Does it mean I'm autistic? Perhaps. Does it mean I have a trust issues due to narcissistic relationships? Yes, I'm still healing my trust issues. And if anyone out there wants to be my agent on Rumble or YouTube, send me your phone number. Email me your phone number. Okay? And then I will talk to you and I can discern if I can trust you way easier than emails. So, while it is true, if I can help one person awaken, it is worth all of the effort and the value. Alphabet Corporation or Google, CIA, YouTube, and Susan and Neil, the CEOs, seem to decide that I didn't deserve an open dialogue or conversation, an expansive conversation with the public online. And they get to decide that if I'm working on their show, their platform, since they're doing this great job of distribution. Since the Is Yahweh a Narcissist series, I was shadow banned, and no conversation has been allowed or possible on my YouTube channel. And this is strictly for sharing and giving crazy wisdom. It is like I'm in the police interrogation room with one-way mirror. You know, in the movies, or if you've actually ever been in trouble and you did something, you know, with witnesses, and they'll have the one-way mirror. So, you know, on YouTube I have an audience I cannot see or interact with or talk to, but I know they're there. In a way, I respect Alphabet or YouTube and Alphabet Corporation's anonymity policy. In a way, I see how it protects people from getting violently harmed or troll attacks, spam attacks. I can see how it protects people, but on the other hand, it gives them the leeway to actually plausibly convince me that I'm still in a position in the past that I'm not in. If I don't, again, if I'm not willing to change my physical circumstances in this case, like, it gives them the ability to play God over the numbers, and numbers are a big part in the age of Aquarius, electronics and numbers, because Aquarius governs people and collectives. So I might have a huge audience and not be aware of it because they're all in Russia and they don't write it, you don't record the numbers or whatever. And they sell my, you know, I'm some guru over there because they sell my stuff. I don't know, you know. I'm not saying that's the case, but there's a video called "This is the Video YouTube Really Doesn't Want to Watch You to Watch," about how a man got, you know, busted Russians using his material for free, and YouTube ended up caving in and allowing him to do it. And there's all kinds of stuff on YouTube that's copyrighted, and people use it anyway. Well, like some of it might be past the like old shows and so forth. So it's a variable. So I serve valuable wisdom to the corporate slavers and the public in a pseudo-narcissistic, one-sided conversation. Yeah, sure. YouTube is pseudo-freedom of speech. In a way, you have freedom of speech, but don't say the wrong thing. It's whoever came up with the idea of a shadow ban, or cancel culture in general, all of cancel culture in general, is very reptilian or dark side oriented, really psychologically dark agent. YouTube is freedom of speech. Just don't mention the MM or SDC. However, unbeknownst to hell's humanoid AI and online lapdogs, these talks are not in a vacuum. I am not an island trying to pretend to be serving to be seen because I'm a narcissist. What is it all? What is it about this content that is the most unkosher? What is the most suspicious and threatening thing about these talks? You don't need the gods, okay? Those energy vampires need you. The original Christos human race to stay perpetually asleep and enslaved. They need you to take care of the Saturn moon matrix. They need you to take care of the box, the rent, the cube, the technology. Take care of the beast and the cube. That is what matters. Not you, not me. The cube. Okay? Because the cube is how they power it all up. So the cube is what matters. And make sure that you never take anything I say seriously, because I'm a crazy person. Remember that. Okay? It's very important. You don't technically have to pay rent or taxes. But you see, what I say doesn't matter, because I'm not a sovereign being. I'm disabled. Although you may suffer loneliness or never heal if you take on labels such as disabled. Sophia's original intent, perhaps Sophia, the queen, the almighty Christ, Sophia, and originally in creating children, was because she was lonely and she wanted to transcend loneliness with togetherness. By having children and reproducing, she could, expand in her love, her awareness, and art. That's the story, right? And so, but Lucifer forces separation on all he can, and so thus the modern human's condition under mind control over the dark angels, the fallen angels, is insanity, separation, loneliness, psychopathy, schizoid, narcissism, borderline, perversion, inversion. Okay? So as long as we obey, we're forced into a false reality construct. Okay? So in my case with Daily Morning Sunshine, if I was able to take the prescription I got from Dr. Jack Kruse, Kruse, I would remain well. Like if I was able to get adequate pre-10 a.m. sunshine every single day, I'd probably totally heal. Yet geoengineering exasperates. And not only does it prevent me from healing, but unless I were to move into a legal box, it easily can exasperate and bring back my systematic illness masterfully. Okay? In other words, I have to finally exit my hermit phase, practice what I preach, stop being a hypocrite, and move out of this camp forcibly due to weather wars. Like, the more they engineer, like this morning I woke up at 2 in the morning. I've been having this, I realize what it is I need to learn how to remote view, because I want to learn, but some part of me is afraid of it. And so, because one of the techniques was to wake yourself up after 4 hours. So that's what's been happening, and I think it could be the dark ETs that are doing it. And so I typically take 2 melatonin and go back to sleep for another 4. And but today, this morning, it happened with a massive artificial wind, gnarly, heavy wind. And I still can feel it, a little bit of the artificial wind right now. That's why I didn't take my clothes off and get naked in the sun between my... I did get some at 10, between then and now. Because even though it was sunny, they can put things in there that don't block the sun, but you know that it's not real because it changes the temperature by 20 degrees. Some have the theory that these beings, the Elohim, that they would prefer the overcast sky and the 50, 40 degrees, 30 degrees. So... in other words, I have to finally exit my hermit phase forcibly due to the weather wars. Armageddon programming, according to Lisa Renee, is when they make you feel that it is unquestionably the end of the world. And her definition is that she says that we had Armageddons before in the previous phases of the earth, the previous eras, previous Armageddon timelines, when they destroyed Atlantis and Lemuria before that. And so those of us that have older souls that have been in those timelines, when we actually went through everything blowing up, pole shifts, etc., we have it in our subconscious. And so with the lizard people, the reptilians of the mainstream media, and as well as the controlled opposition party, that the certain platform that I'm going to upload this video to, that everyone loves and that says they're freedom lovers, and where you can only not speak about one topic, but it's the opposite of the other, etc. That's what this video is all about, is how they program us to be afraid of World War III, that it's going to be, guns and bombs and looting. And what's sad is in the year 2020, a lot of people say George Soros was behind it. He paid off, and it happened in Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm from. He paid off Democrat mayors, and they were busted in half a dozen cities, at least across the USA. During, I think it was BLM and or Antifa, both of them were paid off by George Soros to, but they would loot. I'm not sure if it was one or the other of those groups. I'm not sure which one. It's been a couple of years back. He'd pay them to loot, threw a rock in the window of a poor store, and take shoes. I saw this guy taking a cell phone video of his friend taking shoes out of a store in Charleston, where I'm from. And then he turned the cell phone to a police officer, watching him do it, not grabbing him, not giving him a ticket, not rubbing his face in the concrete or any shit like that, watching him steal. And so, because George Soros had paid off the mayor and the cops, the chief of police, and my guess, to allow it, to encourage it, so that he could buy these poor businesses, these poor districts would go out of business, so that he could buy parts of the city on the cheap. I know it sounds crazy, but you got to realize the 1% robber barons are totally insane, especially George Soros. So, whereas he also funded the legalization of cannabis in California. That's something good he did. But I once saw a 6 o'clock news little 1-minute clip of him being interviewed, and he's like, I thought, man, this guy's the most openly honest, evil billionaire. When they said, you've been saying that some people say that what you do should be illegal. And he said, yes, that's right. I destroy small countries in middle America with my corrupt business tradings. I just ruin them and take over, and it should be illegal. So While 2020 and Agenda 2030 certainly are attempting to force us all into a black hole of no return, planet of AI slavery, I don't think we're going to go, because we just decided not to go, you know. Maybe 51% of all the spirits on this planet said, you know what, we're not going to do it. And that's what it takes. And so the would-be planetary rulers could never comprehend the power of the human heart. The would-be planetary rulers, the junior gods, the amazing tinkerers who created the Matrix and tried to, you know, successfully pulled their experiment on over half the world and attempted to take us all in, who are brilliant mind control artists of 3D humanoids, could never, ever comprehend the power of the original human heart. The heart, whether healthy or being pumped with gadgetry, self-replicating nanotech, and graphene dioxides, or, you know, blood clot, nanobot, myocards, even then, is vastly stronger than all wars. And it puts off, I believe, 1,000 times the electromagnetic power of the human brain, and vastly stronger than all suffering and louche. And so, when faced with the many horrid truths about this psychological war that we've been in for 1 million years, that's escalated so much recently, it's devastated our sacred towns in the last several years and our beautiful sacred country of Turtle Island. We are reminded of when this happened before, so it is going to pull up the trauma. It is going to trigger many of us who were in previous apocalypse timelines, and we are in the age of post-apocalypse now. Actually, we're going through it. We're going through attacks. We've had several of our sacred cities be decimated. We've had, you know, weapons out the wazooski, as I say. But you know what? The longer it goes on, the more prepared the real humans are, because we have been through this before, and we don't need it. And you know, during Lucifer's rebellion and the electrical wars, when they unplugged our DNA, at least 11 strands, and traumatized us into accepting eventually what became the box slave, narcissist, or solipsist, false pseudo-reality. We were tortured into becoming selfish psychopaths, and are now attempted to being trauma bonded to the dark controllers permanently. Okay? With all we see happening on the globalist world stage, if you look at all their plans, how they openly, as I say, they're so spiritually retarded. They believe Archangel Lucifer, when he mistaken as a heartless being that's also masterfully skillful at con artistry that he is, that he convinced all the 1%, most if not all the 1% robber barons, that they could bounce their karma if they explain that Neuralink is good, explain the planet of the digital slaves is good. Okay, we were tortured into becoming selfish psychopaths, and are now attempted to being trauma bonded permanently. Okay? It's not a clever or cute thing when you think about it, when it's happened to you or your friends, or your family, your loved ones, your people you reproduce with, your former friends, or your children. It's sad. Okay? One thing can never be confiscated by loser four: the vast divine power of the original human spirit. Our soul essence has been wired to all the siphoning AI machinery. People walk around with this heavily electromagnetic radiating microwave gadget in their hands, microwaving themselves all day for hours out of the day. In Charleston, I'd see hot-looking 20-year-old girls and 30-year-old girls on the Greenway. Even women that were up to my age that just didn't take it out of their hand. And so, you got to overstand and understand the truth, folks. Is that I just finished the book recently, a few weeks ago, Cross Currents, the sequel by Robert O. Becker. And if you really want to know the truth, you can get into the works of Robert O. Becker. And you have to understand that the reality we're in, folks, is that, you know, when this sci-fi psychological sci-fi war is over and all these weather weapons are banned and outlawed and it's done for, experiments and gain of function research is outlawed, we're going to live in a different world. Okay, and especially when we have 0-point energy. I won't be the rare weirdo that has the courage to do this. There will be hundreds of people that aren't slaves, that are maybe in some socialist system healing and able to contribute. And so that's what they're most afraid of, man. That's what your so-called God or your gods are so most afraid of, is that you'll take your powers back. You'll learn your multidimensional ability. You'll come into the real 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th dimensional realities and reclaim turn your junk food DNA into the divine sacred powers that are your birthright if you have the courage to reclaim them. And the vast divine power of the original human's spirit. Our soul essence has been wired to the siphoning AI machinery from the violent, vampiric, Abrahamic religions' insistence on your conflict conditioning, as Chuck Swindoll Jr. calls it. Thank you, my brother, for that term, your terminology for that. This fake dual world of right versus wrong that is an ancient Hegelian dialect, where both the people who claim to be moral from both sides are violating your rights of sovereignty, of freedom to choose what you think or believe or what you put your energy into, because they steal your memories. You worship violent, blood-drinking aliens, and they take away all of your energy, or you just obey the government who are their representatives, and you believe out of fear or coercion that you have to give all your energy to the rent or the property tax, because you don't want to be a guy like me who's totally isolated and got physical and mental illness and no sex life. You're not willing to do that. Okay, well, that's fine, but still, if you do nothing to help other people, then you're not going to really graduate. So you're going to be coerced back into be a slave again next time when they intimidate you in the tunnel. So you got to understand and understand that the loserphorian winner dealers take all. The U.S. rigged system, California coast exalts the ego separationism in a good and bad way, as a Virgo, Scorpio in the moon, Sagittarius rising. The state of California exemplifies the beauty and wonder, the awesomeness of people living out their dreams, as well as the horrors of, even, you could even claim this town I've been near here for 20 years, have this problem of the overlay, well, certainly with the Illuminati and the local blood drinking activity, that the narcissistic overlay on the coastal towns of California, in particular, the whole state, due to the high property tax. You know, people get this narcissistic overlay. I think, you know, I could speculate in my conspiracy theory in really expensive places, because they feel the coercion, the pitchfork of Loser 4, the local Satanist of California, the local Illuminati, you know, the descendants of the conquistadores who became landlords, and the mafia, the conquistadores' descendants who became the government, forcing them to pay exuberant amounts of money, you know, work 3 jobs 7 days a week if they're not specialized. And a man who does that in the Go Grocery Outlet, who also makes a lot of money playing classical songs on the violin, he told me his rent goes up $100 every year. So people just put up, again, it's contextual, it's a holographic reality. And so if you never left Monterey, or you never left you know, San Francisco or LA, you'd think everyone who's not rich has to be a slave for the box, because you've never been somewhere else. So, and then they're making it competitive for rents in every sexy place, right? So the big club is about itself and its masters. Don't forget that, folks. You think Mr. Big cares about you, you got to be a fucking idiot. We must have good psychological boundaries towards it. Okay? So if you work for the government, you're military, you're healing from that PTSD. We all have, almost all of us have PTSD, if you're even just from the USA, due to all the mind control on a subtle level, or trauma, CPTSD, trauma, you know, complex trauma. So, however, the original and future human race is about freedom, discernment, healing, and awareness, peace, and expansion of love. Compare the healing powers of organic sunshine to the violence, violating, totally criminal physical actions of geoengineering, as an overt example of how World War III is between the criminals and the real, original, respectful, divine beings in their form of the human race, finally throwing the shackles of these criminals, overlay of false reality off. The ancient world order is about control, greed, and an attempted permanent human prison work farm. War forces the question, what are our real limits? Andrew Bartz has said that war is forced evolution, yet it whips your ass. If they really do come around here with drones and force me to get the fuck out of here, then I'll have to contend with it when it occurs. But war forces the situation. In a pseudo-free online platform without community, with 150 CIA or NSA censors or co-workers who work at the platform Alphabet, or in a community controlled by greed, there won't even be any conversations. Because I have a creeping suspicion that Trumbull deletes a lot of my comments too, because I never get any comments there besides people who want to be my agent. I wonder why that is. And knowing that Peter Thiel and Mr. T are the two biggest funders, and does that mean they think I deserve to have only 11 cents? That's how much money I've made there. Or because I refuse one of these, to trust a stranger to pay them money to do marketing over emails, as if that's not a stretch. If I identify as the little, just going right back to talking shit right to myself here. If I identify as the little me, 3D disabled body, Mercury in Capricorn retrograde in that form of the voice of the archons, the little me. Stuck in the massively popular fake ID of schizoid personality or schizophrenic or narcissistic, still afraid of trauma bonding to tyrants, worried about openly about the survival of myself, my body, ego, and mission, without friends and multidimensional support. No matter how much effort I put, I will serve the fake gods. Okay? This is the important point here, folks. I'm not an exception to this rule. If we don't change, if we're not willing to face ourselves, then, you know, the parts of me that are not willing to change can and will bite me in the ass. Because that's what they do. They bite you in the ass if you're not willing to change. So, stuck in the, you know, if I'm not willing to heal from the narcissistic abuse and get real, and without friends and multidimensional support, you know, it's like a physical community, as in a physical community, we're learning how to, at least learning how to fish, or being willing to kill animals, or learning how to farm and harvest or do animal husbandry. No matter how much effort I put, will serve the fake gods, or I'll dry up my inspiration, because no man is an island. The cliche is true. How can I serve you? How can I serve you, the audience? What are you interested in learning about that I might be able to serve? The awakened souls know inherently that separation and human slavery are false foundations. Yet we all must do the shadow work to even begin to participate in a non-hierarchical, above survival mode human community that transcends narcissism. For example, in my case, if capitalism is not going to get wiped out, then having something to sell to take care of myself if I'm not willing to farm or hunt. Having a community that knows how to spot out and transcend narcissism is really a tall order for most of us, especially when you consider that this tendency usually destroys communities from within. Look, many in the mainstream media establishment and the gatekeeper controlled opposition have been saying we are going into civil war soon as the rigged results of the election are counted. I'm here to voluntarily remind you that although we've been in psychological and weather wars for years, that idea is what the fake gods want to persist. Although the attempt, Agenda 2030, has been going on in an intense way since the lockdown, that idea is what the fake gods want to persist. And a huge part of Loosh that I realized the hard way, that one of the reasons why I haven't made a video in days is because we're trying to figure out, you know, getting caught in the survival of the flesh suit makes it so that I am not creative. I don't think, I didn't create the window of duration to make videos, and I didn't feel comfortable or confident enough to do it. I didn't have the balance going, you know, slipping into darkness again, as the song goes. And so I'm not perfect. I have my down moments like everyone, but I'm learning. I'm learning to discern more coherently, more consistently every day. So, and you got to understand this, you know, Armageddon program and catastrophizing is really what they want truthers aware people to act like and be like. They want you to keep pumping the cortisol into your veins. That idea is what the fake gods want to persist. How much power do you give them? How much power do I give them by being afraid that, contention might break out and become worse? Do you realize there are people in every race, including with Anunnaki blood, who are on the side of truth, and freedom for the humans? And that's why they would fight against each other in the old days. So what the fake gods want is for you to stay afraid, stay worried about war, and do nothing to prepare. Accept solipsism, codependency, learned helplessness, and littleness, until at least the psychological form of Auschwitz is everywhere. Okay? That's what they want. They want everyone to have that mentality everywhere. That we are in a psychological Auschwitz everywhere. And that's how it's going to be built. That's how the 15-minute cities are, even though they're building them here and in many places, the glue that cements the 15-minute cities together in the end will be when the whole region is under such deep mind control that the people walk into the gas tank themselves, as they did. So my friend Jaidev Singh, who has a YouTube channel you might enjoy here, Jaidev Singh, S-I-N-G-H. I'm not sure who told it to him, probably another yogi, but he told me years ago, worrying is praying for what you don't want. But for me, if I don't meditate or have a very serious relationship with cannabis and meditate a little, I tend to have the subconscious worry. And it's not, the Archon might get a tiny voice in there, not control my mind, but maybe on a subtle level I agree with some of the things they say. And so that's where we have to watch out. That's where I have to do my shadow work. So, no. Worrying is not what you want. No matter what, remain aware of the Christ within your heart, because she is always there if you're aware of her. Know unequivocally that she is vastly more powerful than the billions of dollars worth of soulless AI, all the budget of the U.S. military, all of their bases around the world, all of the letter groups and the letter societies and all of the secret clubs. Remember, Archons encourage and feed on your addictions, your control of others, your inversions. Every time you believe them when they beam the stupid ideas in your head that you should control others or be a sadist, be a criminal, be a creep, do things to hurt other people. Thought creates reality. A powerful half-truth. I used to believe that. And under the mind control operation called Abraham Hicks and others. Yes, it's half of the picture, half the battle. If you have fully control of all your thoughts, if you don't let the Archons in, like say 96% of the day or 90% of your thoughts, you don't let the Archons in, then you can, if you're harmless, you can do anything, create anything you want. However, you're going to have to deal with this stupid, fucked up, inverted matrix reality where people are all mostly slaves to their box and whipped by their narcissist psychopath and whipped by their borderline partners. Okay? It's still going to be there. You're going to have to clean up from a war. It's still going to be there. Okay? So thought creates reality. That's part of it. We know foul chi. Event 201, 2020. What happened to Lahaina and Asheville? Takeover plans have occurred. Okay? We know that happened. We know we are in World War III, and psychological and all the modern technological warfare that's pointed at us. Yet, we must not catastrophize. It's very important. Again, be more like David Standoff Rolfe than Howard Hughes. From mild worry to hot warfare. Worries are the food. I'll say it for the 105th time or the 1500th time. Worries are the food to our slave masters, the archons. Instead of obeying endless psyops of the Armageddon software, participate in actions that put the pieces back together, that put your blueprint of what you were here to do, whether it's to help awaken people, to create a freed reality, or to live your dreams in a harmless way. Participate in actions that collectively, ideally, put the pieces back together. Form communities in public. Take back the freedom of public spaces, satyagraha. Form more community gardens and edible forests. Connect with those ensouled humans with real faith in the real Christ within. If you can find them, they're around here and there a little bit. That transcends and slashes all violence and dogma. Catastrophizing is a self-fulfilling prophecy, a form of ancient mental psyop, mind control, psychological operation, a predictive programming to stop the benevolent future. So we've got to quit. We've all got to stop. I've got to stop. You've got to give up catastrophizing. Find some of those few and true souls with equal respect. Work or play, meditate or relax, lay in the sunshine, get a sunbath, relax amongst those who have respect for freedom and peace. Go to the beach, do pranayama, go to the mountains. Yes, we are in the greatest war ever, but can you be a prepper yet not catastrophizing and being psychologically dominated by fear? Fear can cut off your creativity, stop you from choosing properly. Very easily, the archons can weasel into your mind if you're overwhelmed, especially, but even a little bit afraid, and flunk out the choice you're supposed to make in that moment that you need to make. Prevent you from changing. Okay? Ask yourself, who would I be if I had no fear? No psyops in my mind. If my mind was completely clear of all these fear-based psyops, who would I be? Utilize the Boy Scout motto. Always be prepared and remain in Christ awareness and gain equal respect to all beings as much as possible. The controlled oppositions and cognitive dissonance of the hive mind, group think, mind flunk, can and will be overturned within the mind of the awakened Christed human souls. Remember her peace and gift of freedom. Remember where the only real authority is, within the heart of Christ, in your heart. When in collective clarity, we can have true authority collectively. The age of peace and enlightenment begins, even before these dystopic plans are fully defeated. We can begin them right now. Do you want to fight for Israel, or do you think our citizens of USA should fight for Israel? Well, you know what? Maybe we should draft our dual citizen congressmen first. Maybe we should flip the script and make them go fight for Israel first, if anyone in the USA is going to do that. If you enjoyed this commentary and this talk, folks, if you haven't already, click on the subscription for more, subscription button. And if you have the courage in these intense times, give up war altogether and create a beautiful, great day, my family. Peace and love within you. Love you, fam.